In the heart of the Vecna Institute of Behavioral Sciences, colleague Torin sat frozen before a holographic display. The data should have been routine. 20 months of observed human pair bonding, but the graphs refused to make sense.
This can't be right. Daniel, what exactly have you been measuring?
The expected parameters: energy exchange, reciprocity, survival benefit ratios. Why?
Because every one of your graphs is a flat line. The subjects expend resources with no logical return. You've fabricated this.
I have not fabricated anything. I've been observing them for months. They just do these things.
That's impossible. No species acts without measurable benefit. Your study is a fraud.
Torin slammed his resignation onto the desk and walked out, still muttering about the impossibility. In the corridor, Torin pressed his forehead to the cold wall, his mind reeling from the impossible data. Daniel Reeves stared at the crumpled letter, his own career now hanging by a thread. The study that had promised to decode human bonding had delivered only chaos. 10 years earlier, the Vecna Institute had been a place of ambition, not crisis, and Dr. Daniel Reeves believed he was on the verge of a breakthrough.
Director Vosh, I propose a study to quantify human adult non-mating bonds. The implications for our understanding of social evolution could be profound.
And what benefit do you expect to find? All known species prioritize reproductive success. Adult pair bonds without mating are an anomaly.
Exactly. Humans maintain these bonds at apparent cost. I believe they derive hidden economic advantages, resource pooling, information sharing. The data will prove it.
The Council will expect measurable results. If your models fail to find logical patterns, your reputation and this institute's will suffer.
I have spent 2 years on preliminary human behavioral models. All I need is access to Earth. Give me a small team, and I will deliver the framework.
Very well. I will authorize the study, but you will need to learn their customs and wear their skin. The disguise training will cost you.
Daniel underwent weeks of intensive cultural immersion, learning human gestures, their inexplicable hugs, their habit of sharing food as if it meant nothing. When the cloaked research vessel finally reached Earth orbit, Daniel looked down at the blue planet with clinical anticipation. The hidden benefit was waiting. On the planet's surface, he set up a cramped observation room in a mid-sized human city, selected 30 pairs of self-declared friends, and began recording every interaction. Daniel focused early on one pair, Maya and Sarah, who met at this coffee shop 3 times a week.
You didn't have to cover my shift. I could have managed.
And let you miss your brother's recital? No way. That's what friends are for.
Maya's hand closed over Sarah's on the table, a gesture of spontaneous connection. Daniel logged as unnecessary physical contact.
Perhaps it signals a reciprocal debt system. The ledger must simply be longer than I expect.
He watched them share a pastry, each breaking off pieces, neither counting. He flagged it under resource partitioning. By the first quarter's end, he had cataloged 437 discrete interactions. A pattern was surfacing, though not the one he expected. He sent a preliminary report to Director Vosh. Initial data suggests complex exchange networks. Full model pending further observation. The edges of the data were already fraying, but he dismissed the anomalies as noise. The hypothesis was too elegant to be wrong. In the coffee shop, Maya and Sarah planned a weekend trip, their laughter bright against the warm golden light. Friendship looked so simple from the outside, but the data beyond the coffee shop began to fracture. Maya canceled a trip to help Sarah move, a net energy loss. Over weeks, Sarah listened to Maya's tearful breakup recount for 4 evenings, offering no solution, only presence.
There must be a delayed benefit. Emotional support creates a debt repaid later.
He ran the econometric model. The reciprocity coefficient came back negative. He ran it again. Same result. He recalibrated for hidden variables, health monitoring, reputation, coalition building. Each time, the model collapsed.
This is a calibration error. I have misweighted the inputs.
He pulled all-nighters, the blue glow of screens etching fatigue into his angular face. Worse, Maya stayed up all night with sick Sarah, missing work and income. No repayment appeared.
The data refuses to cooperate. I need a second set of eyes.
He composed a request to the Institute for a colleague. He didn't yet know fresh eyes would only see the same madness more clearly. Dr. Kira descended from the cloaked pod onto a rain-slicked rooftop, her expression sharp with professional skepticism.
Your models are a mess, Daniel. You've obviously misweighted the non-tangible variables. We need a reciprocity loop model.
I've tried. If you think you can do better, the data's all yours.
Through the surveillance feeds, they watched Maya carry Sarah's furniture up 4 flights of stairs, refusing any payment, sweating for hours.
This is a classic delayed reciprocity signal. She's banking a future return.
Kira built a reciprocity loop model that predicted a demand event within days. The model returned a 0 probability flag.
That's not possible. No species operates at a sustained deficit. The data is broken, but the data wasn't broken. It was like the humans were operating on a different axis entirely.
That night, Kira didn't speak to Daniel. In his cramped room, he replayed the day's footage, feeling the floor of his hypothesis give way. She had arrived certain she could fix his errors. By the second week, she had stopped calling them errors. Over the following weeks, Daniel and Kira compiled a list of 50 interactions that violated every economic model they knew. They watched footage of a human wedding, where friends wept openly, offering no genetic advantage, only a release of emotion. They logged Sarah's unscheduled hospital visits to Maya after a minor procedure, arriving without request, bringing nothing but her tired smile. The net energy loss across all pairs was staggering. Resources given away, as if valuable only when shared, without any ledger.
They are not optimizing anything, Daniel. These are not exchanges. They are gifts with no ledger.
There must be an invisible variable, social capital, future alliance, something we are not measuring.
I have modeled every hidden variable. They do not converge. If we report this, the Institute will call it a failure.
Then, we do not report yet. We need more time. This is not a failure, it is something new.
Kira stared at the data, her silence louder than any argument. The impossibility was no longer a flaw, it was the finding. They were standing on something fundamental, and neither knew if it would save them or destroy them. Kira locked herself in the lab for 3 days, rebuilding the model from scratch, ignoring food and sleep. On the 4th morning, the model violated its own parameters and collapsed into a cascade of errors.
It's not just anti-economic. It's as if they're operating on a variable that doesn't exist in our biology. I am requesting immediate reassignment. This study is going to destroy anyone who tries to understand it.
Kira, please. We can't abandon this. You saw the same footage I did. There's something here.
I've seen it, and I can't unsee it. I need to leave before it does to me what it did to your other colleagues.
The pod lifted off that evening, leaving Daniel in the cramped observation room, the silence heavier than any argument. He had no team now. Only the data, impossible, undeniable, and accumulating by the hour.
Maybe Kira was right. Maybe it's not something we can measure, but I can't stop.
The Institute was silent, and the humans downstairs kept laughing, sharing food, and giving away pieces of themselves for free. Within days of Kira's departure, Torin submitted his resignation. 2 other analysts followed, citing incompatible scientific frameworks. The Institute's morale collapsed. Research bays emptied. Daniel's project was now openly called the Friendship Sinkhole.
Daniel Reeves, return to the Institute immediately. We need to discuss the future of your study.
Daniel took the first transport back. The 2-day journey filled with silence and the weight of unfinished data.
3 researchers quit because of you. Kira is still under evaluation. What exactly are you doing down there?
The data defies our models, but the behavior is real. I need more time to construct a new framework.
You've had years. The Council wants this shut down. I am giving you 1 more year. If you cannot produce a valid explanation, your career here is finished.
Daniel had spent a decade chasing a hypothesis. He now had 12 months to save it. The ultimatum hung in the air like a blade.
I suspect it is not transactional, but I cannot prove it. If I voice that now, he will end it today.
He accepted the terms with a nod and walked out into the Vec night, knowing the truth was slipping further from his grasp back on Earth. Daniel returned to the observation room, the year's deadline ticking in his head like a timer.
The models have failed because they ignore the subjective. I need to ask them directly.
He found Maya alone at the coffee shop, disguised as a fellow human, and asked a simple question. Why do you keep doing things for Sarah?
Because she's my friend. We don't keep score. That's not what it is.
He asked Sarah the same question later, alone. She tilted her head, as if the question was in a foreign language.
It's just, we're better together. I don't know how to explain it.
Neither answer contained any logic of exchange. No debt, no ledger, no future benefit. Just a statement of being.
They are not trading, they are sharing existence. Could there be a variable we lack entirely?
He pulled up the transcripts on his tablet. The error messages read and loud. The hypothesis was wrong. He typed the only honest sentence he could. Could it be that I have been measuring the wrong variable? That single question, the one he dared not voice to Vash, he transmitted to Dr. Stephanie Vexen, the one psychologist who had not yet dismissed his work.
He's still thinking in variables, but the humans keep using words like together, better, not alone. This is not about exchange, Daniel. You are measuring benefit. They are not doing it for benefit. They are doing it for meaning.
Meaning? That is not a quantifiable variable. The Council will laugh us out of the Institute.
Look at the language, Daniel. We don't keep score. We're better together. I can't explain it. They are describing a state, not a transaction.
Daniel reopened the transcripts on his own screen, scanning them through her lens. The words rearranged themselves.
It was never about what they gain. It's about the state they share. How did I not see it?
We need to rewrite the premise entirely. The variable is not material. It is the assignment of meaning to coexistence. Our biology has no equivalent concept.
The Institute will call it unscientific, but I think it is the truth. We will need to verify it with personal testimony.
They agreed. The study would now pursue meaning as its central variable, however impossible that seemed to the Vecnan scientific establishment. Dr. Stephanie Vexon volunteered to do what no Vecnan had done, embed herself openly among humans, without disguise, to experience the bond firsthand. She walked into the coffee shop, her gray skin and red eyes unshielded, and approached the booth where Maya and Sarah sat.
Are you lost?
Number. I am a scientist studying human friendship. May I join you?
An alien studying friendship? That's wild. Sure, sit down.
Over the following weeks, Stephanie met them regularly. She shared coffee, listened to their stories, and even helped carry groceries up 4 flights of stairs. Stephanie wrote to Daniel, "I think I am becoming friends with them. It is terrifying and wonderful. I have no framework for this, but I do not want it to stop."
I have no model for this feeling, but I do not want it to end.
She had not merely observed friendship from behind a screen. She had stepped inside it, and the data was no longer numbers but shared laughter. And it was beginning to change her in ways no model could predict. Zeth, the last analyst still loyal to Daniel, locked himself in Lab 4 with the raw data for 5 days, ignoring all hails.
It's not data, it's a contagion. The humans, they're spreading something.
Security removed him. By evening, 2 more researchers had submitted their resignations. The lab floor glittered with shattered data crystals.
Your study is dismantling my institute, Reeves. I want you here to witness the collapse.
Daniel received the summons in his cramped Earth room. He did not reply. He could not defend what he could not yet prove. Then a personal message from Stephanie arrived, its raw emotion cutting through the static of failure. She wrote, "Daniel, I now have 2 of these things called friends. I am afraid I will not survive losing them. Please tell me this study matters.
It matters. I promise. Hold on.
He pressed send, and for the first time, the impossible data felt like a shield instead of a wound. He was more alone than ever. But Stephanie's fear had given him something no variable could quantify. A reason. Deep in his Earth room, Daniel reread Stephanie's letters, each one a report from a frontier he could not yet map. I have 2 friends now. I think I would die for them. Is that what I've been studying? He called up an old photograph of them, taken before Earth, and for the first time, tears tracked down his angular face.
She is the proof. The variable is not benefit. It is meaning.
He opened a new document and typed the sentence that would either save them or bury them both. They do not maintain these bonds because of measurable benefit. They maintain them because of meaning. Beneath it, he added a note to Vash. We were measuring the wrong thing. I can prove it now. Please read. He attached Stephanie's letters. Raw, personal, unscientific, and pressed send before his courage failed. The file transferred across light years, carrying a decade of failure and one impossible truth. He sat back in the chair, alone with the photograph, and waited for the world to change. On the Vecna home world, Director Vosh opened the file. His face went cold as he read the hypothesis.
Meaning, you have replaced science with poetry. I am terminating this study. Return immediately.
It is not poetry. It is the truth. I have a colleague on Earth who is living proof.
One colleague feeling emotional is not data. Shut down the observation post and come home, or I will disavow your entire career.
I cannot. We are on the verge of understanding something fundamental about consciousness itself.
Then you are no longer part of this institute. Your access is revoked. I hope your meaning sustains you, Reeves.
The link went dead. Daniel stood in the silence of the cramped room, cut off from everything he had built.
So be it. The data is mine now. I will finish this alone.
He turned to the data screens, the years of impossible observations, and began the work of proving that meaning was real. On the Vecnan home world, his access codes were revoked. Dr. Daniel Reeves was now a renegade scientist, chasing a variable his own species could not name. Daniel spent weeks alone, superimposing the human's own words onto the graphs of absurd expenditure. The correlation made him stop breathing. Every costly act of friendship correlated with a spike in self-reported states the humans called connection.
The variable is not external. It is internal. They assign meaning to coexistence. Our biology lacks the concept entirely.
He opened a blank document and typed the sentence that had haunted him for a decade. They do not maintain these bonds because of benefit. They maintain them because of meaning. He stopped, staring at the words. The simple truth of it was terrifying.
A decade of work, of colleagues driven mad. All for this, it will not be enough for them, but it is the truth. Now, I must show them.
He began compiling the evidence, every letter, every recording, every tear, into the report that would either save them or vanish into the void. In that cramped room, with his career in ruins, Daniel Reeves built the case for meaning. The final report bore a simple title, On Meaning as a Variable in Human Pair Bonding. Beneath it, a case study, Dr. Stephanie Vexen. Daniel attached a personal message to Director Vosh. You were right to fund this. Now have the courage to release it.
Meaning, he really believes this is science.
He closed it. An hour later, he opened it again, scrolling slowly through Stephanie's letters.
This is not data, but it is evidence. Evidence of something we do not have a word for. Daniel, I have read it. This conclusion will divide our species, but it may also save it.
Then, you know it is true. What will you do?
I will publish it under my authority. Whatever comes, the Vecnen people should know.
With a single authorization, 14 years of impossible data became public record. Neither man knew what would follow. Only that the truth had finally been spoken. The report hit the Vecnen scientific network at dawn. Within hours, 12 worlds censored it as heretical. News banners declared it banned, but on 3 outlier worlds, the file circulated in secret. On a mining colony, a lone scientist printed the report and hid it inside a philosophy text. The words began to spread. On the home world, a small protest formed outside the Institute, some shouting the data was a contagion, others weeping that it was hope. News broadcasts debated the ethics of emotional contagion. Could a species catch friendship like a disease? Across the Vecnen Empire, a few curious souls began to meet. Awkwardly, fumblingly, for no other reason than to not be alone, Daniel watched the news feeds from his cramped Earth room, the chaos of his own species scrolling past. Then a message arrived from a stranger, a Vecnin worker from a world he'd never visited. The message read, "Thank you. I never knew why I felt so empty. Now I have a word for what I need." Daniel sat back, the weight of 14 years shifting into something else. The genie was out of the bottle. Over the years, the quiet revolution spread. Vecnen, meeting in cafes, awkwardly, learning to simply be together. A linguist captured it in a single entry. Devara, the choice to not be alone. Couples formed, not for mating, but for meaning. Hesitant forehead touches that meant more than any contract. Children drew pictures of 2 figures holding hands, labeling them with the new word at a graduation. 2 young Vecnen embraced, laughing for no reason but the joy of the moment. In his final year, Daniel Reeves, now gray at the temples, sat down to write his last paper. The title appeared on the screen, Devara, A Study in Meaning. He scrolled to the dedication page, his finger hovering, then typed 10 words.
To my Devara, Stephanie. The proof in every way.
He sent the paper, then looked out at the city, no longer an observer, no longer alone. Every spring, when the cherry blossoms bloomed, Daniel Reeves returned to Earth. Dr. Stephanie Vexen always met him at the park entrance, as if no time had passed.
You are early. I was just about to walk to the shop.
I'd rather walk with you. The blossoms only last so long.
They walked the familiar route to the coffee shop, taking their usual booth by the window. Maya and Sarah, now with silver streaks in their hair, spotted them as they entered and waved exuberantly.
Look at you two. Every spring, same booth. It's like you are tied to this place. We had to come say hello. It wouldn't feel right if we didn't.
They chatted about nothing in particular, the kind of small talk that is really just an excuse to be together. After a few minutes, Maya and Sarah rose, squeezing Stephanie's shoulder. The silence that followed felt warm. Daniel looked at Stephanie. She met his eyes. Neither spoke. They had spent decades measuring bonds. This one needed no measurement. On the Vecnon homeworld, a child asked their parent, "What does Dvara mean?" The parent, whose ridges had softened with age, answered simply, "Someone you choose to not be alone with." The child returned to a drawing of 2 figures holding hands, the word Devara written beneath in uneven crayon. In parks and cafes, older Vecn couples walked together, no longer hiding their quiet companionship. The banned study still circulated, passed from hand to hand, a fragile manifesto for a new kind of bond. In his final years, Daniel Reeves, hair entirely gray, sat holding the old photograph of Stephanie. The photo was faded, younger faces, simpler times, but it still made him smile.
We were measuring the wrong thing, but we found the right one.
The Vecnen had learned that friendship wasn't logical, but it was necessary. A new era had begun, and on a small blue world, 2 aliens who had dared to decode meaning simply called each other Devara. The coffee shop had quieted. Late afternoon light pooled around the booth where 2 old aliens sat, hands on the table, not quite touching.
I read your final paper again. The dedication. I am still not used to crying.
It was the easiest thing I ever wrote. The words were there, long before the paper.
Outside the window, the spring sun lowered, painting the brick wall amber. Neither rushed the silence.
I never thought I'd have a Dvura.
Neither did I.
They watched the sunset deepen through the glass, the sky a gradient of gold and violet, and let their coffee grow cold. After decades of measuring, the truth was not in the data. It was in staying. The camera pulled back slowly, leaving them in their little bubble of warmth. Two creatures who had once lacked the word for such a bond, now content simply being Devara. The Vecnen Institute spent 14 years trying to reverse engineer a human emotion. They failed. Their models broke. Scientists quit. Yet from the wreckage a word was born. Devara spread through cafes, through children's drawings, through hesitant forehead touches. It means the choice to not be alone, a concept their biology had never held. Daniel's study did not explain friendship. It simply proved that it was worth having. He never returned to the Institute. He visited Earth instead, every spring, for coffee. And in those quiet moments, the data finally made sense. Presence, not profit. The Vecnan learned that friendship is not logical, but necessary. A truth that reshaped their kind. Now, couples walk in parks, children draw Devara, and the word is home. Earth, a small blue point in the vast darkness, holding all the warmth of connection.